I choose to believe that the primary function of every love relationship we choose to enter into is an opportunity to learn more about who you are, to grow into the human being that God intended for you to be, and to heal from the wounds of your past that make up the unique and magnificent tale that is your life story. If we dare, we can use our relationships as a tool and as an opportunity to manifest our greatest potential. And as a byproduct of the courage it takes to do the work, we get to live our life in peace. I open up with that core belief because you'll need to buy into that idea in order to do the work suggested in the second part of this series, getting the love relationship you want and need. Because real talk, you will be taking some risks with your current relationship if you take on the challenges suggested in this episode. It's your choice. Why fix what ain't broke, you might ask? It doesn't have to be broken. For the simple fact that your relationship just is. That you have this love connection with another human being means that it is alive and you must feed it and nurture it, or it will die. Why risk pushing yourself out of your comfort zone when it's comfortable? Because no action still produces an action. You may as well have some say in the output. Maybe once you're able to be real with yourself and your love, the answer to these questions will lead you to one thought, one realization. It is worth the risk. After all, what's the alternative? Hi, I'm Phoebe Smith with Love Relationships Real Talk. So here we go. To begin, ask yourself these questions and engage your love in a real talk discussion if you dare. Here's my first question. Does living in the comfort zone with your beloved allow you the opportunity to learn and to grow? 2, have you learned to shut down your sexual energy because you and your love are living in the friend zone? 3, does your relationship come first, or do you allow distractions to monopolize the relationship so you don't have to deal with putting in the work to grow your intimacy in your relationship? 4, are the decisions that need to be made in your family, whether they're related to you as an individual or your beloved as an individual or as a couple, are they being made out of fear and obligation or love and choice? Consider this. The number one killer of a relationship is boredom. Bred inside of the comfort zone. I'll be talking about how to move out of the comfort zone, how to prepare yourself and your partner to challenge your relationship, and managing the health and wellness of the relationship. So this might take some risk taking because there might be some cans of worms that you don't want opened. Over the years, moving in and out of cycles made up of peaks and valleys, I've learned that Mark and I both get really anxious in the comfort zone because it feels like we're settling. I think that's a fear for both of us because we know that extraordinary is what's possible, and settling blocks that reality. So when these times swing around for us, we start having what we call courageous conversations to see how we can challenge ourselves and continue the growth process within the relationship. These conversations are so hard and scary because you never know what decisions they may lead to in order for you both to feel like in order for us both to feel like we're striving toward our best life. Thus far, we've both concluded that the other is a primary player in reaching our individual goals and our God-given purpose, in creating and building a happy and fulfilling life, and in seeking out our passions. We both feel that having each other in our lives helps us do that. Over the years, I've learned that you're never done building on the intimacy in your relationship. There is no point of making it. There are always other aspects to explore, and you do, so that the relationship continues to grow and you don't get bored. Actually, there are many different phases of a relationship that you have to manage and maneuver and learn from in order to be prepared for the next phase. You always want to be moving from phase to phase. If you don't do this already in your relationship, you can start like I did, with baby steps. Ask the question, why don't you want to have challenging conversations? Why don't you want to challenge your relationship? What are you afraid of? Answer those questions for yourself, and you might want to even open that conversation up to your partner. I'm reflecting back on a conversation a friend and I had a little while back that really resonates with people who've settled into their love relationships and why we want to really make that decision to challenge our relationships. The dilemma that my friend brought to me was that she spoke about the anxiety that was building within herself because their third child will be leaving the nest this year, and it will be just her and her husband at home. So what does that mean? No more distractions, no more conversations primarily about the kids. She said, I'm afraid that maybe we won't like who the other has become. And so I asked her a question that we both sort of already had the answer to, but I just asked her anyway to get her thinking. I said, so the man you've been living with for the past 24 years doesn't know who you are today. How does that happen? And then she sort of gave an easy response. It was easy. We just did other stuff to fill our lives. We did things with other families, with other couples, got involved in a lot of sports and other types of events and activities around the kids. This is so true, isn't it? And that our time here on earth passes in a blink of an eye. You begin with the best intentions. And by the way, I want to mention that this woman has raised an amazing family. But for she and her husband, they both at the same time, simultaneously while raising their family, turned their eyes away from each other and started to focus more on other families, other situations, exterior things outside of their relationship, and not focusing on building the intimacy of their own relationship. You can, in so many cases, prefer talking about anything else besides what should be most important to you, the bond between you and your love. And maybe this is the most authentic answer of all to the question we opened up with. Why take the risk? Why take the risk? Because time and love and opportunity are too precious not to. This scenario is a great example of a relationship that needs to be challenged and nurtured in spite of your fears. It's never too late, I believe, to get real with your partner and begin to build your love relationship with one another again. We can take baby steps. It doesn't have to be a major overhaul of the relationship. Taking baby steps toward addressing the health and the wellness of your relationship with incorporating things like date nights. Date nights, people. It's not just a cute photo op for your Facebook page. It's a strategy that every couple should use to be intentional about putting the relationship first. It's quality couple time. I remember watching an Oprah show, and she had this columnist on who wrote a piece stating that her husband was more important than her children. And the audience that was filled with mothers were ready to pig roast this poor lady for saying such an unbelievable thing. What kind of mother was she? They spewed at her. But the point she was making was being completely missed. And this is what the point was. If you don't take care of yourself first, you will have nothing to give to your union. And if you don't take care of the union, you will have nothing to give or model to your children. A child-dominated household is a household dominated and run by children. Date nights, people. You don't have the time? Take my friend's dilemma as a lesson to learn from and make the time before 24 years rolls by and your dinner table full of empty seats, you on one end and your love on the other, becomes a literal symbol of your divide. I've talked about a particular mindset when you're married, opposed to being in a non-traditional relationship. I brought this concept up because one of the fundamental assumptions in a marriage is that once you have crossed the threshold of being in a marriage, you can relax. You don't have to work as hard as you did when you were seeking your life mate. Same thing in a non-traditional relationship. You can start letting other things monopolize your mind and your time. But the truth is, the context of any relationship, marriage or partnership, is what you say it is. Whether you're married or not, or whether you're married or not, a person's freedom is at their fingertips, and you have the choice to do whatever you choose. So married or not, people can come and go. This point isn't made more obvious than by the divorce rate our culture suffers from. There are specific statistics and studies that show it is a common occurrence for unnurtured relationships to end in divorce after several years of marriage, and particularly after the children have left to go and live independent lives. So I challenge anyone in a new relationship, to those who may be lost in a seasoned one, make a conscious decision, and make it now. Make a conscious decision to plug into your love relationship and start doing the work on yourself first, which is a direct contribution to the wellness of your relationship. You can start by making subtle shifts in your consciousness now. You can slowly start this growth process by asking yourself the question, what do I expect from my relationship or partner? And then start providing those things for yourself. If you do this, it'll show up tenfold in your relationship. I can attest to that. I had this expectation of my partner thing bad for several years into my relationship. I would get bored with my life, and hone right in obsessively on Mark and what he wasn't doing. I would tell him he wasn't romantic enough. He wasn't doing this. He wasn't doing that. I'm not happy. Expecting, under the delusion that he was in large part responsible for my happiness, I would make these statements. So over time, I've learned that he's not responsible for my happiness. I posed this question in the last episode. Is your partner responsible for your happiness? And the answer is a resounding no. You are responsible for your own happiness. And then you bring that happiness into your relationship. Stop holding your partner responsible for your emotional wellness and start making subtle shifts in your consciousness and let your actions follow. When you start making the shifts in your own personal life, your partner can simply support you with that because that's your intention. I believe that people who come into your life for a reason and a season and are there specifically to support you in your healing, they will do this for you if you allow it. That's why eventually these relationships come to an end, because that was the intention and purpose for that relationship. And those relationships help you become prepared for your lifetime relationships. Let's say that purpose got by you. Even if you miss the lessons from those past relationships, it's not too late for the one you're currently in, because your love can support you in still learning those lessons. You didn't come this far to turn back now. So go for it, dive in and go deeper. You may be surprised by what you find in your old friend. I am so happy that you have shown yourself to be willing to explore this conversation, put this challenge to your love and your relationship. And I am willing to guarantee, because it's happened for me, and I've taken the risk, and I've been courageous enough to have the conversations, your relation will grow exponentially if you do. Don't question whether or not your partner is ready. Don't question whether or not you are ready. Take those baby steps that I suggested and just go for it. Why not? What other alternative do you have? Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time on Love Relationships, Real Talk.